Hi, this is Jeff Moore. We're going to have a look at my book, Under the Spell of Succulents. It's an overview of the succulent hobby and cultivation. It is, again, it's a celebration of just so many of the diverse forms, fantastic shapes and colors that you see in the succulent realm. We look at everything, I look at everything from the large to the small. This is an example of humongous dragon trees and tree aloes growing here in Southern California. This book is about plants in cultivation here. From the large down to the small. These are little container curiosities that you'll see at plant shows or collectors' houses. So succulents, they go macro to micro. The book is divided into chapters both about species and how we engage with the plants. I have a section here on the growers, where these plants come from. There's a lot of large commercial growers and small backyard growers in Southern California. And I also talk a little bit about and show you some of the collectors, the people that have this wonderful obsessive compulsion to collect and propagate succulents. So this is where some of those ones in the previous slide showed up as this collector, and he in turn will turn this into more plants. There is a chapter on succulent landscaping in California. Again, these plants, although most of them are not from here, make wonderful colorful landscape specimens here in Southern California. I talk a little bit about some of the principles of landscape design. And we'll have a look at the monstrosities, the crested, monstrose, and otherwise unusual brain type of configurations that some of these plants will acquire. Specialty gardens, succulents lend themselves to quite a bit of whimsy, as you can see here with these under the sea succulent gardens. This is something I've been doing for years and got a little bit of notoriety for here at local home shows and botanic gardens. We get into the species themselves, a little bit of look at each of the major groups, in this case both aloes and agaves. In these two images you have aloes in the front and agaves behind. Aloe Arborescens, this is one of the most common aloes in all of California. And the attraction with aloes is both in the shape and the overall look of the plant, but especially in the flowers. They're beautiful, mostly winter blooming plants here in California. With agaves, it's not so much the flowers that attracts you. They flower once at the end of their life, but the patterns and teeth and dentation, overall just look of the plants, or what enthusiasts love about agaves. You can't think of succulents without thinking of cacti, and we have a pretty good look at cacti here. Of course, I like to show them in bloom if possible because they are some of the most amazing flowering plants. But also the form and structure is wonderful too. Some of them are spiny, some of them the spines really are not that bad. Related to cacti are the African Euphorbias. Technically, they're really not related. They're African plants that, for the most part, that look like cactus, some of them, but they are not cactus. They're their own group. It's a huge group. There's over 20,000 species of Euphorbias at least. You can see the appeal to people that like succulent plants with these plants. Another category are the show plants, the fantastic things that are rarities that you'll see either in collectors' collections or at some of the cactus and succulent shows that happen throughout the state. And I also try to cover as many of the beautiful soft succulents as I can. A lot of people, this is the first thing you think of when you think of succulents, are these soft, beautiful plants. Kalanchos, Euphorbias, Aeonium, Sedum, crassulas, or the native Dudleya. That's one of the few native plants from California that has an ornamental appeal. I should say one of the few succulents from California that has an ornamental appeal. There are a few outliers. The bromeliads, terrestrial bromeliads, are technically not quite succulent, some of them anyways, but they have a succulent appeal. They're full sun, low water, and there is an amazing diversity of forms of these as well. Plants such as the Madagascar palm, it's just a structural beauty of a plant, shown here in a nice combination pot. Under the Spell of Succulents, again, it's a broad look at the whole hobby. I have written subsequent books that flesh out some of these chapters in more details, aloes and agaves and cultivation and spiny succulents. Take what is in the first book and run with it a little bit farther. These books are available at Sunbelt. Thank you.